guys, welcome to the No Experience. I'm sure you know, it's actually been a hot minute since I just sat here with the camera and talked to y'all about South Korea, and I thought today would be a good day. So I thought I would talk today about some of my most favorite things about living in South Korea. So let's get into it. Oh my gosh, it is raining so much in Korea right now. Got another hurricane coming. Oh well. Okay, you guys, so my list is not going to be of the typical things that most people talk about that they really love about South Korea, because you guys already know that stuff. You know that South Korea has the best healthcare system in the world. You know it's a pretty safe country. You know that the food is great, which I will talk about some of that stuff too. But I want to talk about some of the things that you're probably not expecting me to say. So one thing I really love about living in South Korea are the bidet toilets. Y'all, why don't we use bidet toilets more often in America? Like, why isn't it a standard? I love that living here in South Korea, bidets are pretty common in people's houses. And even they can be common in public restrooms also. I never knew how much I would love having a bidet toilet until I moved to Korea. Another thing that's really kind of nice is that the bathrooms are pretty clean. Like, if you've been in a women's bathroom in America and then you've been in a bathroom in Korea, you know what I'm talking about. Now, granted, sometimes it does smell a little, because there is a thing about in South Korea where sometimes you'll see a sign on the stall door that asks you to not throw your toilet paper, used toilet paper, in the toilet and flush it, but instead they want you to put it in a waste bin. So there is that, but overall the bathrooms are very clean. Also, I really love that in South Korea, the bathroom stalls, the doors are like floor to ceiling, no big gaps. So I don't have to stare at people's feet or look under to see if anybody's in the toilet. Now, you might be wondering, well, how do you know if someone's using the bathroom in South Korea if you can't see under the door? Usually there's a little sign overhead, or even a light up sign that says what kind of toilet it is, whether it is a squatty potty, as I like to say, or a standard sit down toilet. And it'll be green or not lit up, or green or red, depending on if it's used or not. Korea is very good at letting you know whether someone is in the toilet or not. Love it. Okay, another thing that I super love about living in South Korea is when you go to the movies, you can bring any you can bring any outdoor food or drinks into the movie theater you want. Y'all, you don't have to hide your favorite snacks or beverages in your huge Louis Vuitton bag. I've carried so many times, I've made videos about it, just carrying all of my favorite snacks, even alcohol. You can bring in your favorite soju or beer, though I don't suggest doing that when you're going to the fourplex, because my husband did make that mistake one time going to see the Star Wars on a like Disney theme park ride movie theater date, and that wasn't the best idea. But don't be afraid to bring any snacks in you want. You don't have to hide them. It's completely normal. You can also buy snacks at the convenience, or right there at the movie theater, like popcorn and sodas and things like that. But you don't have to. You can bring your own. Oftentimes we go to the convenience store that's below the movie theater, load up on what we want, and go upstairs to the theater and just carry it all in my hands. Okay, another thing that I super love about South Korea is the fact that in South Korea there are free exercise equipment everywhere. I had to close my window for a moment. My neighbor is coming out, and you know, in Korea is quite quiet actually, and I don't want to be too loud while she's trying to do stuff. Anyway, so I forgot. I was talking about exercise equipment. So South Korea has exercise equipment everywhere. They're free to anyone in the public to use. So, I mean, if you come to visit South Korea or you're moving here and you see exercise equipment in parks, you'll see them on top of mountains. You'll see them behind buildings. You'll find them in the most rural part of South Korea. And they are used all the time. It's not like they're just there and people don't use them. all the time, day and night, sometimes even in the rain, I see people of all ages using them. So I love that South Korea is very big on making sure that their citizens and residents are trying to stay healthy. Now, if you've watched my videos before, you already know that South Korea is a no tipping country. So if you come to South Korea, you don't tip for anything. But what I really love about South Korea is that when you go to pay your bill at a restaurant, you always pay at a register. Sometimes they will actually bring your bill to your table, but what you do is that you take that bill to the register when you're done. So if you don't have a bill at your table, you just go to the register to pay when you're done. If a bill does come to your table, then you take that bill up to the register. You guys, it is so lovely to not be bothered every 2 minutes when you are eating in a restaurant in South Korea. And because there's no tipping, and because you pay your bill at the register, you're pretty much left alone. Like the waitresses and stuff don't come and bother you and ask you if everything is okay, blah, blah, blah. But if you need their attention, the other super nice thing about South Korea is that there are bells on the table, like these little button bells that you push. And some of them will actually say mikju, which means beer. There's a special bell just for that. There might be one for soju or just a general call button. So if you want their attention, you either just yell to them, saying, 저기요, or you just hit the button and hear, ding dong, and they will come to your table. It's kind of awesome. Do you like coffee? Do you like tea? Do you wonder if you're going to find enough coffee shops in South Korea to fulfill that need? Well, have no fear, because South Korea is riddled with cafes and coffee shops. Honestly, I don't know why people keep opening them. There's such a huge saturation of them in the market in South Korea, but they are everywhere. Now you got your chain stores like Starbucks, Tusum Place, Angels in Us, all of those big hype ones. But there are a bazillion little ma and pop coffee cafes all over South Korea. And I dare you guys, if you come to South Korea, tell me in the comments below how many steps you have to go before you find a coffee shop, because it won't be far. Sometimes you'll find coffee shops that are right next to each other. Like just 2 days ago, I saw a Starbucks and a mom and pop coffee shop, unrelated, next to each other. And I think it has partly to do in the fact that South Korea, eating and going to coffee shops is a big part of Korean social culture. So oftentimes after you're finished eating your dinner, you'll either go to get chimek, which is chicken and beer, or you will go and get to a coffee shop with your friends after dinner. Dinner in Korea is never just dinner. It's like a 6-hour event. You're always going to another place when you're finished. And coffee shops are often a great second place for you to go, especially if you don't want to drink alcohol. So it is really convenient. And I'll tell you guys, they are the most adorable coffee shops you will ever see. In South Korea, the restaurants are usually not decorated. Like in America, restaurants are very aesthetically pleasing. They do a lot of decor. In South Korea, it's not like that. If you see a restaurant that looks like there's no decoration, you see crates of stuff in the eating area and all that, it's not only is it safe, it's probably super delicious. The cafes in South Korea are super adorable because Koreans are really big into taking selfies or selfies, and lots of pictures are really popular in South Korea. So having these cafes where you can go, sit down, take a lot of cute pictures with your friends is really popular. So you're gonna have no problem finding a fun place to go. Okay, there is another thing about the toilets in South Korea that I really love that I forgot to mention. When I first moved to Korea, I didn't really like this that much, but I've gotten super used to it. In South Korea, toilet seat covers are not a thing. Like, don't come in the comments and say, well, I live in South Korea and this one place in this airport here in South Korea at this one toilet has toilet seat covers. Great, but 99.999% of the rest of the country doesn't use paper toilet seat covers. And you guys, I did talk about this in a previous video, I think a year or so ago. I remember Mythbusters actually did a video on this, and there was another famous scientist even talked about it. The toilet seat is a pretty sanitary place compared to the rest of your house. We really don't need toilet seat covers. They're kind of a waste of paper, but it is a habit we have in America, and I get it. Like, I'm 45 years old. I've used my fair share of toilet seat covers, but it's unnecessary. And in South Korea, you're not going to find them. I mean, granted, you can put toilet paper on your toilet seat if you want. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's just not, don't be surprised when you look behind the toilet and you don't see any little button for you to push down for the toilet seat covers to come down. Ooh, I guess I could keep talking about things I love about South Korea that's going to be in the bathroom. Something else I super love that I just thought of is that in South Korea, you will also see police buttons in the bathroom stalls. Sometimes they'll be in the actual area with washing your hands, but most of the time you'll see them in the actual stalls. And I believe they're primarily in women's bathrooms only in South Korea. That is for women's safety. So if you ever feel like you are in danger or you need assistance, if you hit that button, a police officer will come to your aid pretty quickly, actually. South Korea is a very safe country. Again, there's been plenty of statistics on it, but being an American and comparing to South Korea really does have a very low crime rate. However, women's safety is an issue everywhere in the world. So it's really nice that these bathroom stalls have added protection for women. But don't hit the buttons unless you actually need help, because, you don't want to be wasting police officers' time coming to you just because you made a boo-boo. I mean, they'll forgive you, but still. Okay, another thing that I really love about living in South Korea, and I have talked about this, I think, in a previous video, is that in South Korea, they have women-only parking spots, which I think is great. A lot of times women in South Korea, if they have a family, they stay home with their children. Unlike in America, where oftentimes it's dual families are working outside the home. In South Korea, if there are children in the home, majority of the time the wife stays home with the children. And so having these women-only parking spots can be especially beneficial if a mother has children that they're trying to get out of the car and they need the additional room for getting the children out of the car. There are also pregnant-only parking spots. South Korea has one of the lowest birth rates in the world. So the fact that South Korea is really working towards trying to encourage families to have children and supporting pregnant women is an initiative that South Korea has been working on for a while. And I have made a video a few years ago about the low birth rate in South Korea, so go check that out. Some of the South Korea does pay families for having children to help try to stimulate families into having children, but there's a lot of reasons why that isn't as effective as they had hoped it was. But regardless, it is really nice that there are parking spots to make things a little easier for families and women who maybe have multiple children or just they're pregnant. Because if you have never been pregnant, then you don't know what a challenge it is to be huge and trying to walk across a far parking lot when your ankles are swollen and your belly hurts. So no complaining in the comment section, y'all. Okay, this is the last thing I'm gonna say about my favorite things about living in South Korea. And let me know in the comments below if you want me to make a part 2 to this. I've got so many things I'd love to share. But the last thing I want to talk about is the fact that South Korea has the best internet I have ever experienced in my life. Y'all, you know how in America, we get those commercials that say, high speed, fast internet, blah, blah, blah. And we always fork up the extra couple dollars to get the fastest internet possible. I had no idea how much malarkey that was until I moved to South Korea. South Korea has the best internet, the fastest internet. And let me tell you, there is nothing on God's green earth that will interrupt the Wi-Fi and cell phone service and internet service in South Korea. In the years that I've lived in Korea, and I've lived here almost 4 years now, I have never once lost electricity. I've never even had my electricity flicker. You guys know what I'm talking about. Now, I'm originally from Oregon. In Oregon, we lose electricity all the time. If there's a storm, if somebody hits a telephone pole, if a tree falls, I mean, all the time. South Korea, we have typhoon season. We regularly have hurricanes in this country. Never lost internet. I think I have even done a YouTube live during a typhoon last year, a hurricane in South Korea. Never lost my internet. It never even slowed down. You guys, And the other thing too is that internet is cheap in South Korea. And I think a big reason for that is that in South Korea, they see internet as a necessity. They don't see it as a privilege. Whereas in America, it's expensive because they see it more as a privilege and not a necessity. But here in South Korea, it's very important, not just for business, but especially for education. Children need the internet in South Korea. Education is South Korea families' #1 priority. And without having internet, it would be very difficult for children to be able to excel the way that they do. So, but it's not just at homes is it inexpensive for you to get, but you guys, the first time I came to South Korea on vacation, I didn't have a phone that worked. I just was hoping that there'd be enough hot Wi-Fi free spots around that I could make it work. Not a problem. Every block that I walked, there was free Wi-Fi connections to some building, some cafe, some convenience store. There is free Wi-Fi everywhere, which was fantastic. I could stay in touch with my loved ones back in America when I was on vacation and vice versa. Of course, now I live in South Korea and it's fantastic because I can download movies, I can make YouTube videos, I can do all kinds of stuff. I can do YouTube lives during hurricanes and y'all won't see any difference. So anyway, please consider hitting the like button and please consider subscribing. I do a lot of videos, travel videos around South Korea. I want to start getting back into more of my sharing personal things about South Korea. I kind of got out of that a little bit. And please, if you are interested in supporting the channel, you can do so at patreon.com/theknowexperience or hitting a super chat or like. They all help to make it possible for us to keep showing you fun stuff around South Korea. So until next time, y'all. Annyeong! Bye-bye! See you next time.